I actually sent out maybe on average about 10 per day. I think with every no, at least in the beginning, I felt that it was a reminder that I was not good enough. Right, so first question, were you retrenched because you were not a good worker? No, I don't think so. My employer took great lengths to explain to me it was really because of a combination of different situations. Of course, COVID hit the business and there was just no way to kind of sustain the operation in Singapore. Yeah. Our team that was set up in 2020 was brand new. So I guess you can say it's a little bit like last in, first out. I was angry not at my CEO. I think I was angry at myself, maybe. The bigger emotion was not anger, but disappointment because I have spent a lot of time not just working in Singapore, but also overseas. So I understood the reasons for it, but it still doesn't excuse that feeling that you feel that you're not good enough for whatever it is out there, right? I would say that probably April, May 2020 was the lowest in terms of my career, in the sense that, I've never been retrenched myself before, and now I have to deal with my own emotions, and you just kind of don't know what to do next, how to pick up the pieces. So that was maybe the first few weeks after the retrenchment announcement. Yeah. All right, second question. Was it embarrassing to be unemployed? Yes. I think the first person that I told was my sister. Because I know she'll be fine with it, she will understand. But I told her, can you just not let mom and dad know first until I figure out what I want to do next? You can imagine in a lot of traditional Singaporean families, it's difficult to talk to your own siblings that, hey, I need some money, to help the parents. I am the eldest child in the family, so growing up, I was always expected to excel, always expected to set an example for the sisters. Surely, I wouldn't be in this kind of situation, right? But I was, and what was the alternative? Like, if I don't talk about this and then the money runs out and then they have to go out and work, I mean, I cannot imagine that, I'm embarrassed about that rather than telling people that I'm unemployed, that I need help to support my parents. Yeah. As I started on my job search, it's quite depressing. They tell you to take a pay cut, they tell you to do something more junior. Every day was an emotional roller coaster. Today you might wake up and then you log in and then you see, oh, there's some interesting job opportunities relevant, and you fill yourself with optimism. And then as the days go on and you don't hear back, and days become weeks, then you get even more anxious and really panicky, right? So I actually sent out maybe on average about 10 per day, and every one is different. I have to rewrite it 10 times in one day. And you can imagine at the end of writing 10 of each day, right? You are exhausted, and I don't know which is worse, not hearing back or hearing back from a recruiter to say no. It really hits you, and I think with every no, at least in the beginning, I felt that it was a reminder that I was not good enough. And everyone else I know is employed, so who can I talk to that will understand what I'm going through, right? So that was difficult at the beginning. But I think I also kind of took 2 steps back and look at the whole situation, and there's still a lot of uncertainties about COVID. We don't know when any of these situations will turn for the better. It could be weeks, it could be months, it could be years. So then that's when I decided to sell the house and use some of the proceeds to pay for my part-time EMBA course. Yeah. That was maybe intellectually more appealing to me than sitting around and sending 10 CVs every day for the next 2 years. Yeah. Okay, next question. Isn't studying as an adult a waste of time and money? I actually disagree. I think when I told my close friends that I was going to plan to sell my house to partially finance my education, right? Frankly, a lot of my friends couldn't understand. Why would you do that? Why did you need to do that? That's probably the last thing you touch. But I told them that, look guys, when I spend on education, the knowledge stays with me. I've always believed that humans have unlimited capacity to learn new things. And we understand that when we apply it to children. But somehow we think that, by the time we are adults, we already graduated with our university degree, that's it. So learning stops and you work and then that's it, right? But even though it's still finance and accounting and marketing and all that, it's completely different from when I took marketing at an undergraduate level. So industries have changed, strategies have changed, tools have changed as well. So I think in terms of that, it was a no-brainer. I had to go back to school and I had to go and learn something. What was interesting about the current course I'm taking is that it has a huge emphasis on sustainability and entrepreneurship. We had a few startup founders as well as my classmates, so I was also listening to their stories about how they built their business as well. So that was definitely fascinating. As an adult, you are more mature, and when you go and sit in the classroom again, you are looking at the same topics with different lenses, with your own work experience, life experience, and all that. So it's a completely different experience. I was laid off at the end of May, and I started with my current employer in January 2021. While I was still on course, my current employer approached me, and I said, well, I'm still doing my part-time EMBA course, and they said, it's fine, just come in and work with us. One of the topics and learnings from the course is definitely relevant topic for my current employer's digital transformation, because that's exactly what my current employer is going through right now, and I could actually have relevant conversations with different departments in the office, from the EMBA course. Yeah. Okay, next question. Does the thought of retrenchment still scare you today? Yes and no. I think retrenchment as a concept is scary for everyone because it's this sudden change from one state to the other state. It's something other people do to you, right? You're being forced into a situation. So it's only human to feel that being retrenched is a verdict on your abilities and your value as a person, but actually it's not. Retrenchment is not a death sentence. In some cases, it could be a new lease of life, maybe a page turner, you can see it that way, and what's on the next page is up to you to write, but you have to decide to write it rather than staying on the previous page. I think that's probably the advice I have.
Thanks for watching our videos. If you enjoy watching this, you can hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and also watch the other videos here.